Good. Okay, so for our digestion procedure, this is like the big thing. So you're gonna start really similar to LOD, where you're gonna take your manure sample, you're gonna shake it for 30 seconds to make sure it's all mixed up and homogenized. You're gonna take your beaker again, and we do the same tare mass, a little trick here. Again, you want about 10 grams, and then you get your true mass over here, and you write all of that down so you can do the math later. So then you're gonna add in a stir bar. Usually this is a lot grosser. And then you'll come over here to the hot plate. So you're gonna stick it on a hot plate, turn on your stir bar. There's nothing in there, so I'm gonna turn it off now. But you're gonna add 5 milliliters of water, just straight deionized water. I tend to use these pipettes just because it's more accurate and easier. And then 5 mils of your nitric. And then you turn it up. Usually I crank the hot plate to about 190 degrees Celsius. And this is your friend. You want to really keep an eye on that temperature with your thermometer. And you should be in the 90 to 100 degrees Celsius range. So once you hit that, you let it chug for about 15 minutes. Then you're gonna start adding 5 mils of nitric at a time. And if it produces this kind of brown gassy fume, you're gonna have to add those 5 milliliters again and let it chug for like 30 minutes. We typically do anywhere from 3 to 5 additions of those 5 mils of nitric. Oh, I forgot. Because of that gas, you're gonna have to put a watch glass on top. You don't wanna inhale those fumes, and it keeps it from evaporating too much. That's kind of important. So after you add those like 4 to 5 mils, and it's not really producing that awful gas anymore, you're gonna let it sit for 2 hours. So when that's over, then you're gonna add 2 mils of water again, and 3 mils of hydrogen peroxide. Again, these pipettes just make it really, really easy. And it's gonna fizz up, kind of have effervescence going on. So then you don't wanna add more than 10 mils of hydrogen peroxide total. But you're gonna start adding like 1 mil of peroxide, watching it effervesce, go down, and there's usually a color change. It becomes kind of a pale color. And when it stops really effervescing or stops really changing color, then you stop adding the peroxide. We typically do, again, about 3, maybe 4 peroxide additions. Again, you don't want to do more than 7 of those in total because you don't want more than 10 mils of peroxide in there. So after you're done adding your peroxide, again, you let it sit for 2 hours. Again, at that 90 to 100 degrees Celsius range, that's gonna be your sweet spot. So finally, after that, you're gonna add 10 mils of hydrochloric acid, and you let that sit for 15 minutes. And then you finally turn it off and you let it cool down. I typically, using like tongs or something, will move my beaker to this flat black spot in the hood just to help it cool down faster. And you're gonna filter now. So you take a filter flask. There's big sizes and small sizes. I just use whatever's clean. So you have this little guy in here, and you have your filter. And you'll have a circle of filter paper. This is a very bad circle, but you'll have a good circle of filter paper that you'll stick in. And then you'll attach the hose to it. And you'll hook it up here to this yellow spot that says vac. It's probably good to keep it on one of these little clamps. I'm not doing that because we're just doing this for funsies. But you turn on your vacuum, you'll pour in your liquid. Be careful because it's still probably going to be kind of hot, so just keep an eye on it, and let it filter down. And then when there's not really any liquid left on the top, when it looks like that filter paper is kind of dry or maybe just a little moist, but there's not like standing liquid, then you'll turn off your vacuum and unplug this guy. And then again, you should do this in the hood. We're not doing it because of space. But you'll take your 100 milliliter round bottom flask guy. It's not a round bottom flask, it's a volumetric flask. I know what I'm doing. I tend to use a funnel just to make life easier. So you'll take this guy off, put him in a waste beaker. You'll pour whatever's in here into this, because you love my pantomime skills. And then you'll fill up the rest of the volume to this line here with just standard deionized water. You'll cap it and then invert it. I usually invert it like for 30 seconds just to make sure it's really good mixed. And then it'll be ready for analysis with FLAA.